I saw a therapist last year during quarantine. Ain't no shame in it. But let me tell you, it is nothing like this. Welcome, movie watchers. Thank you guys for stopping by my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the new Apple TV Plus series, The Shrink Next Door. How a seemingly normal dynamic between a charming psychiatrist and a longtime patient morphs into a relationship filled with manipulation, power grabs, and dysfunction. So this stars Paul Rudd and Will Ferrell. I absolutely love them two together, especially with Anchorman.
Brian, I'm going to be honest with you. That smells like pure gasoline.
They've done studies, 60% of the time, it works every time.
That doesn't make sense.
But here we have Paul Rudd playing Ike. He is a psychiatrist, and his patient is Marty, played by Will Ferrell. This is based on a true story of over 27 years that they spent together, and Ike manipulated Marty into spending thousands of dollars on property, charity events, making sure that he was not in a relationship with anybody. He overpowered Marty constantly and ruined relationships from the beginning of their sessions all the way into the last episode, and this spans over those 30 years, so we do get a lot to cover in here, and several episodes do several years time jumps, and you see the makeup change for Paul Rudd and Will Ferrell. This was a really good series. I thought it was really enjoyable and a little bit heartbreaking as well, watching Marty going from somebody that wasn't very confident, and he gained confidence throughout the series, but he was always next to Ike's side, and he was always doing whatever he wanted. Ike swindled his way into Marty's business. He ruined his relationship with his sister, but he always trusted the guy. And several times throughout the series, you hear Marty say, "I owe my life to Ike. If I never met Ike, I would be dead." So you really do see that friendship within here. And I do believe there was some kind of friendship over the 27 years that they spent together. And Will Ferrell and Paul Rudd are there to give a really good performance. This is not like a comedy like Anchorman. It's more of a dark comedy, a dramatic series. There is some lightheart moments as we are watching Marty gain that confidence, starting to go on dates, stand up for himself. It is enjoyable, and there is some humor between these two characters as they start to become a little too comfortable with each other. But I love the progression of watching these two people just have these sessions and then it just turn into something very crazy. And there is about, I think, 8 episodes, and each episode's almost like an hour long, so you do get a lot within here. Like I said, there's several different time jumps within here that I think takes away from some of the key moments within the relationship. You feeling that manipulation and those power grabs. I think by jumping over certain time periods, you're skipping over key moments to give it that tone, that really dark tone. The first few episodes were really great. They solidified the relationship, how Marty was so willing to do whatever Ike wanted him to do. They stuck in a certain time period. When it got to the second half of the series, it started to ramp up the years, going from 1990 to 1997 to 2007, 2010, all within a span of a couple episodes. I know that they have to cover a lot, but it gives it that feeling that it's being severely rushed. Like everything has to be done really quickly. And they do cover a lot within those several years. Like Ike moving into Marty's family home and people actually thinking that this is Ike's home, the therapist, not his patient's home. And people don't believe Marty when saying, "Oh, this is my home," and Ike actually is just staying here. And then buying a property next door, tearing it down, having people come and party and different patients come and, having a good time. There's so much going on within the second half of the series. The first half, they set up that relationship. Who are the characters? What are the struggles that Marty is having? How is he connecting with Ike? And then The second half picks up with all of that manipulation and, all the cash grabs and all of the different schemes that he has in place. You're seeing that all kind of play out. And then eventually watching Marty get involved with it a little too. And so I think that the second half, really started to become really fastly paced. The first half really slow and very personal. I love that development, but that second half just had to do a lot. And I understand 27 years is a lot of time to cover in an Apple TV Plus series, and it not being too long of a series, you have to cover a lot. I really do understand that. But the second half just moves so fast to where you're honestly getting lost with what time period they are in. But I will admit, watching them get older, the makeup is really good. From the beards to the hair, the skin, it all looks really great. And I think that both Paul Rudd and Will Ferrell give really good performances. Paul Rudd, you can easily tell from that first episode, that first interaction with Marty, he's able to manipulate people very well. And something just about his performance was very slimy. And Paul Rudd did a really good job in the role. And then Will Ferrell, had some humor thrown into the role, but also was lacking that confidence. He was afraid of a lot of things. He had anxiety. I really felt for the guy. I really did. And Will Ferrell gave a really good performance, handling that anxiety very well. Watching him become confident. You're just so happy for the guy. And then all the moments that he's being used, it's really heartbreaking to watch. But when they do get together and you do feel that love that they had for each other, despite taking over the company, getting a bunch of money, using Marty for whatever you want, I did feel a friendship within here. And I really did appreciate that, because I love Paul Rudd and Will Ferrell as actors. I love them together. When they were in Anchorman together, it is the best. My favorite movie of all time. So imagine how I felt watching this series with two of my favorite actors together from my favorite movie in here. And it's really good. It's a series that, starts off very strong. It kind of loses it in the second half of the series, but still, quite interesting that this actually happened. Over 27 years, this man just let him take over his life. Bank accounts, houses, using money for charity events, whatever it was. A lot happened within here. I wish this series was maybe just a couple more episodes so you can really slow down certain time points within their life to really give it that dramatic effect, because when you do get to this later half of the series, it starts to lose that dramatic effect. It starts to be a little more comedic, and you can tell that they're kind of slowing down to get to the end of the series and starting to wrap it all up. I also thought the conversations between patient and therapists were handled very well. They're very realistic conversations, talking about anxiety and how you grew up and how you feel about certain things. I spent several months talking to a therapist once a week on Zoom. And so, how he talked to me and how I talked to him and just our conversations, I thought it was handled very well. The dialogue was realistic, dramatic at times, opened up a lot of conversations. It wasn't like conversations that you're going to hit a brick wall and you can't really get past that. It's open-ended conversations, really talking about your feelings and how you grew up, relationships with your sister, your work, all of that. They cover a lot of it. And I thought that the conversations felt very real. And so I really did like that about the series. So overall, The Shrink Next Door did lose me in the second half, but the first half was very strong. Paul Rudd and Will Ferrell give really good performances to make the series worth watching. So before I give you my score for The Shrink Next Door, make sure to check out my channel. Here I do movie reviews, trailer reactions, ranking videos, tier lists, all that fun movie related content that you see on YouTube. I do it all here, so hit that subscribe button to get it all in one spot. I'm going to go ahead and give The Shrink Next Door a B. Thank you guys for checking my review for The Shrink Next Door on Apple TV Plus. Have you guys seen it? What'd you think about it? The first 3 episodes come out this Friday, and then every week after that. My name is Justin Watches Movies, and you guys stay classy, YouTube.